Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It's me. It's me. It's Mike Lepre, the King Michael. Frustrated a little bit? Maybe. Ah, aggravated just a little? Maybe. It's March 14th, 2021. I'm having more technical difficulties now talking into a mic with a hat on than I ever did of 10 or 12 years being in a goddamn rock band. But joining me always is Brother Ray. Brother Ray, how you doing on
Good
this
to see
Sunday
you,
morning?
King. I'm glad you got through your technical difficulties. I think it's probably daylight savings time. I'll blame that.
Yeah, no, I'll probably have a lot more before the show's over, and that's how I roll. Speaking of rolling, let's bring him in, Mastro Damas. Master Damas, how are we, Matt?
Uh, I think I'm good. I don't know. Speaking of technical difficulties, I think it could be something to do with the time lapse as well, but it's almost like a vortex portal opening to another dimension. Maybe. I don't know.
But by the way, want to know what's freaking me the fuck out? Have you guys noticed this yet? Why are three of our heads going down on a slant like that?
Wait a minute.
Look, it goes Matt's head, Ray's head, my head. Like, why are we sitting like this? We got to figure out our seating arrangement because it looks like a goddamn slide of old guys. Hey, did you go down the old guy slide? No, I missed that one. Hey, we need a genius to stop all this tomfoolery. Kev, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, King?
You just saved the whole head issue, Kev. Now it's a torso issue. It goes you, Matt, Ray, me. Showing torso. Look.
Yep.
All right, hey guys. First of all, I want to start the show off with Brother Ray's got a quick little thing you want to do. Brother Ray?
Yeah, thanks, King. Recently, yesterday, in fact, unfortunately, we have the passing of a boxing true great, marvelous Marvin Hagler. Local to the area, the pride of Brockton, Massachusetts. Incredible fighter. My favorite boxer of all time. So we'd like to have 30 seconds of a moment of silence for marvelous Marvin Hagler. Thanks, champ, for everything. And let's do it.
And we made it. By the way, I was contemplating just holding it for as long as I could. For as long as I could and not saying a word. Till one of you guys was just like, dude, that's 30 seconds. So you can stop now.
That's the respect you give that guy. That's the respect you give a living. You'll always be living because he's eternal. But the guts,
right.
the era of fighting for that. There's not fighting anymore. They actually like pit up at each other. They do. We see sparring sessions. When growing up, that middleweight 135 all the way up was the guts and the glory. Leave it all on the table. Slug your noggin. Pernell Whitaker, Roberto Duran. They were the best of the best, and they got in there with the best, and opposed to dodging them. And Hearns was. Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler.
Here's the thing.
Generation talents.
Matt, here's why we loved him. Here's why everybody loved Hagler. Hagler, his favorite thing to do was train. Like, that's his favorite thing to do in life, was to train to fight. He would do it like all the time, every day. Ray, am I right? That's all he did. He just wanted to do that.
Yeah, he was a true gym rat. I mean, you look at some of the battles, the Inafermo fights, both of them unbelievable. Mustafa Hamsho, another great battle. I mean, he had so many wars, Marvin, and he really was obscure for most of his career, and nobody gave him the credit. Nobody wanted to fight him in the beginning, and he couldn't get those big money fights until finally with Hearns and Leonard, he started to get those big fights that he really deserved for such a long career and so many fights at the middleweight division. But the way he fought, King, you were talking about being ambidextrous. He was a natural southpaw, but he could box both ways. He could outpunch you, he could outscore you, and he could outslug you. I mean, as we saw with the Hitman in that fight. Just an incredible boxer. He really meant a lot to the area, being from Brockton, the same place that Rocky Marciano came from. He was trained by the Petronelli brothers, who also were tied to the great Rocky Marciano. So for me, he was that next step from Rocky Marciano that I heard so much about as an Italian American. He was that next step for me with the Petronellis in his corner.
It's true. He was an extension of that whole fighting spirit. But all right, Kev, I want to throw this to you. I tried to get Stu to be on this show so he could talk about Pat Ewing winning the Big East Championship for Georgetown again. He was so happy about that last night.
I know.
By the way, to Matt, Stu's like this mystical creature. He's never seen him. Matt knows nothing about this kid, but we talk about Stu all the time. He's just a great person to listen to. And I would have loved to hear him talk about Pat Ewing winning, because that would be some positivity coming out of him. Kev, what did you think about that? Did you think that made a big deal to a lot of people, Pat Ewing?
It made a huge deal. That was phenomenal. You saw my picks yesterday. I hit 4 out of 5 yesterday, and then Georgetown was one of them. I should have bet the money line. I took the 8.5, and they were up by 16 or 18 at the half. They total control from beginning to end. It's going to be great to see how far he takes them. Well, not he takes them, but how far he coaches them in the tournament. But that was phenomenal. And look, King, I told you this before. I'm going to keep telling you. You're not going to listen. The Stu is like your white whale. Getting Stu on the show is you're like Captain Ahab. You got to let it go. If he ever does it, let it be a surprise. But you gotta let the white whale go.
I tried again. Brother Ray, you're another fan of that era. You kind of put Georgetown a little bit more back on the map in a sense, like that Pat Ewing's there, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when we were growing up and we were younger, I mean, Coach Thompson and those Georgetown teams were some of the best teams that I can remember in NCAA history. I mean, the mystique, whenever you were playing Georgetown, you knew you were playing Thompson, that monstrous figure on the sideline. He's so big and he yelling, but Patrick Ewing always epitomized that program, the class, the way he played the game.
Always him back. Yeah.
One of the classiest guys to ever play, even in the NBA. I mean, never won a championship, but I mean, incredible player, right down to his days in Boston playing prep school basketball. So I'm happy for Georgetown. It's good to see them back on the map. It's a good thing for college basketball.
Agree. Now, with that said, tomorrow at noon starts free agency for the NFL. Whew. What do we think is going to happen? Like, what do you think is going to be the first big bomb to go off? Like, what's the first big signing? Right?
It could be Aaron Jones going to Miami. To be honest with you, Aaron Jones is going to be the number 1 running back target in this free agent signing period. He's in the prime of his career. It's rare that a player like that is out there. I mean, obviously Green Bay, with Dylan is going to move on, and they're not going to sign him to that big deal. I know the Dolphins are interested. I know the Jets are interested. The Jets have more cap, so I think that's a done deal. I think that'll happen on the first day of free agency.
Wow. Maddie?
I'm in agreement with Ray. I think Aaron Jones will be first off the board. I think he ends up in Miami, tax-free state. He probably is intrigued by tagging up with Tua. I think they're going to really form a plan of attack around Tua too. Free agency, it's going to be exciting because that's really going to tell us what's going to happen with the draft, and we're going to change a lot of our picks according to what happens in the next few days. Like I said, man, this is the funnest time. There's a lot of decent names out there, but I think a lot of the teams are already showing you that they're keeping their studs. We'll see what happens.
Kev?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question first. Right, you think Miami's gonna? You guys think Miami's gonna pay him? You think like I would be a little bit surprised if you got a huge deal.
I think for someone like him, I think they're going to go after him. I think Chris Carson might be another secondary guy that they probably look at if they can't get Jones. They have cleared up some space recently to make that kind of move, and they were happy with the 2 free agents that they used last year. They were they were decent. But you want that blue chip running back. You want someone who can catch the ball in today's NFL as well. He's good between the tackles, Jones.
Great pass catcher.
He's in the prime of his career. So I think he's someone that they're going to target.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what he gets in terms of money, and I would even be more interested to see if he goes to the Jets, because after they got completely smoked on the Le'Veon Bell signing, are they going to go back to the well and pay big money on another running back? All the very different situations, granted, but it still might, still something I'm interested in. But
I believe he gets in the 11 to 12 million a year range.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy. Okay, yeah. You guys might be right, and I think whatever team does that is going to probably have buyer's remorse. But anyway, the guys I'm most interested in are Golladay, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, and Will Fuller. Those 4, they could affect teams in a very, very positive way. Like if, say, Fuller goes to Green Bay, I think that would be unbelievable. If everyone's saying Patriots need a tight end, if they get Henry or Smith, that would be pretty amazing. Or Golladay. I would love to see Golladay come to New England, but the next couple of days, the legal tampering period is going to be awesome to hear all the rumors flying around.
Good.
I
I think we need to talk about the Cam Newton signing too, and how that.
Oh, I love
it.
Thanks, Ray. Hold on, I'm going to take my victory lap. Yeah. I said it weeks and weeks ago, and I said it last show, and I give M1 credit for acknowledging that, because he and I go back and forth on just about everything. And I stand behind my second prediction, which is Patriots are back in the playoffs.
I will give you credit, but just not too much credit, because it's a backup signing. He is never going to meet the incentives of that contract. They're saying it's like a $14 million contract, but realistically, hours before they done that deal with him, which probably was done for days, they were aggressively pursuing Jimmy G. That stopped, but it probably was just a fill-out test or whatnot, because they will trade for Jimmy if they have to, but I don't see the Cam Newton signing as the end-all, be-all. He will not be the only quarterback. They're going to bring somebody else in. I'm not saying it's going to be Jimmy, but I do believe it could be. There's going to be another QB in there. I don't see Cam being the start of this shit. It's not going to happen. You got to be careful with that, because Belichick loves Cam Newton. He said all he does is praise the guy. He's not going to sign him and then do something shitty and make him a backup. He's going to at least give him a free chance. He's going to at least give him a shot. Unless Cam Newton, Newton. It's for them to be able to bring people in. They know free agency sign. They want to present the idea that somebody's there at the helm. They don't want to shy away, but I don't think they're going to go and get Kenny Golladay. I don't think Kenny Golladay. But they put Cam Newton there to attract free agents.
It actually, guys, made me think they're going to draft a quarterback. That's what that made me feel like. And I'm not being dead serious. It made me feel like they're going to take this kid, Cam Newton, for one more year. He knows at least enough of the playbook where Bill doesn't have to go through it again with some old guy, right? He just has Cam go out there for another year, see who he gets back, right? Let Cam get beat up, draft a quarterback, or trade for Jimmy G. I can still see them doing something like that.
I think you guys got to get off the Jimmy G thing. I'm going to put the stake in the ground. Get off the Jimmy G thing. He's not coming to New England. He's not coming to New England. What does he do? Like, he had the run in San Francisco. He missed so many games. The games he's in, he doesn't have a cannon for an arm. Like, he's not the guy.
He has a cannon for an arm. He led FBS. He led all of football. He led them in touchdowns and yards. He has all the stats.
He's not the guy. He's not coming back.
The thing is the reason why there's a chance he comes back is because he wants to come back in a place where he knows familiarity and where he can win, and that is in New England. If Jimmy G was to be released, which is probably going to happen because we keep hearing San Fran is going to be drafting Trey Lance and at 9. There's going to be no reason. And we keep hearing that they're going to trade for Sam Darnold and keep Jimmy. That's not happening. They're going to release Jimmy, and there's one place Jimmy will come. So to say that that's just out of the question is crazy. Whether or not New England moves on without Jimmy is the question, because they will do that.
Yeah, and I think Belichick, I mean, as thick-headed as he can be, I think he knows he'll change. I mean, he sees where Jimmy G is now. I think they'll give him they may give him a workout, but Belichick is real enough to know that, you know, maybe he was wrong, you know, on Jimmy G. Maybe you know, we've seen Jimmy G over the past couple of years. What I want to talk about, though, is how with Cam Newton at quarterback, Bill Belichick has completely changed that offense. And he was on to something last year with that option attack. First couple of games, Cam Newton looked pretty comfortable with that. Ball control, completely different than what they were doing with McDaniel and Tom Brady. They were controlling the clock. They were running the ball down your throat. Cam was only passing when needed. And I think if he plays this year, he's going to continue to pursue that style of offense. I do think they're going to draft another quarterback. I think that's a no-brainer. I said initially that Darnold is a diamond in the rough. I think if the Pats made a move for him, I think it would be genius, because if the Jets give up on Darnold, they're making a big mistake.
I agree. Everyone actually has Darnold ranked higher than every quarterback except what's his name? Trevor Lawrence. If he was back in the draft again. So it's like, is it Darnold's fault these last couple of years, or is it the Jets? And you know what? That's the only team that I would give a kid the pass. Like, you know what? Yeah, it might be the Jets. One of the biggest names on the market, though, that I think is potentially is Allen Robinson. Now,
they franchise tag him.
He wouldn't sign it. He didn't want to sign it. Allen Robinson's to go in free agency. Yeah.
No, wait. If they franchise tagged him, he doesn't have a choice.
No, he won't. It says it right here. I'll read it to you.
If he doesn't sign it, he doesn't become a free agent.
Right. So he'll sign it. He's going to sign it.
I'll read it to you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but he's
Allen Robinson won't sign tag. It was a couple. Bears wide receiver has zero plans to sign the franchise tag in the immediate future. He doesn't. I mean,
he doesn't become a free agent if he doesn't sign a tag. He sits on the sideline.
I know he wants to, but he wants to be traded and go to free agency.
Yeah.
So let me change what I said.
Okay.
He's refusing to sign the tag. He wants to be either a free agent or traded, which is still good news, because if he comes out to the market, that's a receiver teams like the Giants or teams like that need to go and get. That would be huge, right?
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I mean, he's like a true wide receiver one. I mean, anywhere he goes, he can make a difference.
All right, so then what do you guys think of James White following Brady down to Tampa? How do they sign all these people? It's like a wrestling team. It's like the NWO. Did you read that he wants to go there? Matt, how does that make sense? How do they find a way to sign everybody?
This is the reason why it makes sense, right? Ronald Jones was not making catches in the backfield last year in the preseason or camp, whatever you want to have you say. And then they grabbed LaShawn McCoy. We know he was on his last leg. We didn't see him in the game plan. They need a pass catcher. Brady loves that running back pass catcher. James White is an absolute monster. He fills that void. He's their third down back. He gives them another pot that, you now have so many layers of their offense. You have to defend the deep, the intermediate, middle, outside. Now you got the back coming out the backfield. It's just another dimension. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think White's a great player. I don't think they sign him, though, because they already have that guy in their roster. They drafted Keyshawn Vaughn in the third round last year, and really that's his role, catching the ball out of the backfield. I mean, you spend a third-round pick on a player like that, I'm going to think that they're going to give him the opportunity. I mean, that backfield is stacked with Jones and Fournette, and with Vaughn being that third down back, utility back. I think White obviously is talented. What he can do out of the backfield is exactly what teams are looking for right now. And by the way, he's really good between the tackles. You know, that Super Bowl against the Rams, I mean, he showed his value. I mean, I don't know. The problem, I think, with these running backs is going to be, you know, it's such a devalued position now. You know, they don't get the big money anymore. When they do get the big money, it doesn't usually last for long. You have Jones out there, but I think teams going to go after like running backs like a James Conner, who can be that feature back, but it's going to be a lot cheaper because of the injuries. It's tough because that position is devalued. But I mean, Brady does know White, and White knows Brady, so you know anything's possible, I guess.
And Kev, let me ask you this: Brady extended his contract to 4 years to make cap space for the other players, right?
Yeah.
Explain that to me. Like, just break that down for me. Like what he kind of did.
Well, because you what you typically do is you convert money to a bonus, to a signing bonus, and signing bonuses are prorated across the number of years in a deal. So you can, instead of getting, he'll get the same amount of cash this year, but the salary cap hit will be spread out over the length of the deal. So if he was supposed to get $20 million this year, and it had a $20 million cap hit, and they said, okay, look, we're gonna make it a 4-year deal with $20 million signing bonus. You still get $20 million up front, but you get the cap hit is $20 million divided by 4, so it's $5 million per year. Which is why you just keep, what you do is you just keep pushing it down the road. And then eventually, like when Brady left New England, all that money that was pushed down the road becomes due. Same thing with Breeze. Breeze leaving the Saints this year, all of his money that was pushed down the road that was prorated out, all becomes due. Same thing with Carson Wentz getting traded. Same thing with what would happen if Russell Wilson gets traded or Deshaun Watson gets traded. All that money that's prorated becomes due as soon as the player leaves your team.
It's a lot of cash, Ray. A lot of cash. Jeez Louise. Man, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's beneficial for Mr. Tom Brady because he, makes deals to keep David. And I never thought they would sign Godwin. Now that team's intact, and he's helping out bringing other weapons. And I think that's what he's done along his career. He knows that, I know a lot of people say he doesn't take less and he ends up making the most, but that's also not true. He's always kind of been middle of the pack the whole way. He's made some good money recently and stuff, but he's always stayed taking cuts just to make sure all the players are on that team, and that's huge. Let's see how KC does with that Patty Mahomes contract. I think he just redid his contract because they knew that wasn't too damn good for that team.
Yeah, he did something too. The thing on KC we have to talk about is the offensive line, and they cut the 2 tackles, and their center's a free agent. Yeah, and everyone, that is insanity.
They were starters, right?
When you give a contract out.
Yep.
They were starters. They were starters, though. Am I right? All 3 of them.
The 2 tackles were starters, but they were both hurt, obviously. And then the center is a starter, and he's a free agent. So they also lost, I think, their backup. One of their backup tackles or swing tackle is a free agent also. So they got some real work to do there.
That stinks. That is what the whole offense is predicated on. And I mean, I know you all know this, but think about that for a second. Patty Mahomes, he gets a couple of years of being knocked around. Things won't go good. You know what I mean?
No.
He can't afford that.
He's limping. His knee's busted. He's got his kneecap slipping around. Now he's got a toe. He's getting his ass kicked back there. That Super Bowl was lost on the offensive line of KC. They got their ass beat. You win and lose in the trenches. They got beat up. And then now that maybe you do cut him because you're like, what'd you do for me? We got to get somebody else in there. I don't know.
Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem exactly. And well, you cut them. Yeah, okay, but now what? It's still a need. It was a need before. Now it's a bigger need. What do you how do you get out of this mess?
It makes me wonder a couple things. Like, who are the steals that are out there? Because for me, Tate Davis, the linebacker from the Browns, that's a guy that, like, as a Giants fan, I covet. That's a guy that I want out there. You know what I mean? Who's like a guy you think that's not going to break the bank, like a Blake Martinez. But I know I'm all Giants, but it's true. He's a tackling machine. He does what we pay him to do. He's not great. He can't cover. I've noticed that, but So who are like the diamonds in the rough? Brother Ray, you got one?
Yeah, I would say Buddy Dupree would be the guy that I would be targeting right now. I mean, there's such a premium on sacks, and this is a 10-sack guy. I mean, this guy plays a season, just put him down for 10 sacks. I mean, coming off the edge, the Steelers do such a great job of drafting players like that, outside linebackers, edge rushers. He's in the prime of his career. He was injured last year. He came back. I mean, that guy should not be available right now. He really, I mean, that's the kind of guy that you're usually franchising. You're doing whatever you can to keep him. The fact that he's on the market, to me, is amazing, and I would be all in on him.
All right, that's a good one. Kev, you got one?
Yeah, it's I don't have a specific name, but I think what's like I hate to say it, I hate the way when the term is used, but you hear it all the time, like the middle class of guys that all got that aren't huge names, and then like we all know Bud Dupree. You hear that name. It's a bunch of guys that are like, C+, B-, B players that don't get signed on the first couple of days of free agency. And then there's going to be like a fire sale. The one guy that just jumps out at me that it's another Pittsburgh guy. Mike Hilton is a cornerback. He's decent. He'll probably get like a $5 million a year deal, something like that. But he could start somewhere. I think you're going to see a ton of that kind of stuff where you might not even know the name, but they plug a hole. And they so I'll go with Hilton for my way under the radar sleeper guy that I like.
All right. Matt, can you think of anybody that's like a?
Yeah, I got a couple. I happen to be wearing the Cardinals, right? I'm hearing that Chandler Jones is not going to be able to get paid now that JJ Watt is there. So I'm not sure what the deal is with him, but if he comes available, he becomes a huge free agent. But I also have one that is about to be cut, and I think that there's a potential. Bill Belichick knows other teams where their cap is, just like he knows his own. And I think Zach Ertz gets cut, and I think there's a potential for him to land with the Patriots. Zach Ertz can be potentially a decent free agent. Top 3 tight end maybe 2 years ago. I think maybe last year he started falling off about midway through. Is he that anymore? Absolutely not. But could he be viable? Could he be a good part of the team? Absolutely. I would say Butler for the Patriots, the defensive tackle. I watched him play for years. Kid's a real deal, nasty. He'll hold down the fort for any team. I don't see him coming back with the Patriots. I think he goes out elsewhere. I think he's a viable, he's an asset.
Those are great points. Another tight end would add to that, and genius, I think you already talked about him, was Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
The Pats have never really had that H-back that Aaron Hernandez was when he was with them. When Belichick had Gronk and Hernandez really fit that H-back role, which was crucial in that offense. And the Pats have tried to draft that last couple of years, but no success. Jonnu Smith is the perfect H-back for that offense. And I wouldn't doubt them going and signing 2 tight ends this offseason. The classic tight end position, which could be Ertz, and that H-back, which is really important in that offense with Jonnu Smith. He fits that perfectly. He's got the mobility. He's got that wide receiver body. He's not a big guy, but with the ball in his hand and his speed, he can really make a difference.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm just still thinking about Bud Dupree because Bud Dupree has the Giants on one of on the list of the teams he plans to visit, and oh my God, that would be friggin' awesome. I can't remember the last time I was a guy in the Giants like that at linebacker that could play, for Christ's sakes. You know what I noticed though? There's a lot of wide receivers either in free agency or the draft. It's almost becoming watered down. Like you know what I mean? Like how high are you going to value a receiver now? Because there's so many. Like there's so many in free agency. There's so many going to be in the draft, and the draft is like Could it get any deeper at wide receiver? Like literally, could it get any deeper? There could be 10 future starters at least in that draft. It could be if you look at it, right? So, what do you think, Kevin? You think it's going to water it down?
Yeah, before you jump to the draft, I mean, let me just list some of the ones that are free agents. There's Galladay, Will Fuller, who I mentioned before. Juju is a free agent. Corey Davis, who we talked about last show. Antonio Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Curtis Samuel, Marvin Jones, Aguilar, Watkins. I could probably stop at that point. But those 5 or so, those are all decent. Then, like you said, there's 3 that are in the draft that are like, top half of the first round picks with Chase and the 2 Alabama guys. It's freaking nuts right now. You're right. It's definitely. In
the beginning, you said Corey Davis, right?
Yeah.
Could be, to me. I know you don't. Maybe you guys disagree. To me, he could be a number 1 someplace if he finds the right spot.
I think M1's a big fan of him. I think, right?
Huge fan of Corey Davis. I think he could be a number one anywhere. I think he's done damage to some of the best corners over the last few years. Very sneaky. And like Brother Ray said, he played second fiddle to a dominant A.J. Brown, who should be their number 1. And they feel fine about, moving on from Corey Davis because they have A.J. Brown. But Corey Davis is number 1. I think he's proven that. And I think that he's going to be a low bargain steal for anybody who gets him. I love Corey Davis. Love him.
Yeah, and those other 2, I would say 2 of the group that you mentioned, Genius, Curtis Samuel and Nelson Aguilar. I mean, those 2 guys. Aguilar was the best wide receiver on that team. I actually second to the tight end, but he was the best outside wide receiver on that team last year, and he had a really good season. He had a sleepy, good season. He was much better than Ruggs. I'm surprised that they haven't tried to re-sign him. He was their best deep threat. And that's what a number 1 pick on the roster. Curtis Samuel, another explosive guy who really came to his own in his 4th year. Extremely dangerous. The team that signs him is going to get a really, really good player who's very unique and fits today's NFL. Can play the running back position if needed. You can run him out of the backfield. He's great over the middle and beyond the hash. Has the deep speed, really coming into his own.
You know who he reminds me of? Percy Harvin. And I love Percy. Very strong, tough, just a Swiss Army knife weapon. I love Curtis Samuel.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I guess like Brother Ray, your team needs a core wide receiver, right?
Yeah, they're going to be. They need a true number 1. Parker is just too injury prone. He very rarely plays a full season. He does have some great, he's a great jump ball guy, can get down the field, big and strong, but they really need a speed guy right now. They need someone that could really take the heat off of Tua, and really they need a weapon. So
wow.
That's why, I think a JaMarr Chase is someone that they're going to target rather than a Waddle. Because they need that true alpha, and not that Waddle's not an alpha, but he brings a different skill set.
Word out of Miami was that Preston Williams was coming on strong in the second half. They were looking at him as their number 1, and they really liked him. He came off that injury, and he was just starting to come back after a little bit of time getting up to his speed again, but they love Preston Williams.
Right. Isn't that the guy that I had from the Dolphins? I thought he was going to be so great last year, but then he got hurt and just couldn't get going. I'm like,
injuries have derailed him. Even his rookie year, he was having a great year. He had 5 touchdowns on the year. He was really coming into his own. Then he got injured, and last year, obviously, he missed the whole season. So, he's been set back by injuries. Again, we're talking about an undrafted guy. This guy was not drafted, but he has the talent. Off-field issues prevented him from being drafted when he came out. He's got number 1 all over him. He's 6'5", 210. He looks the part. The problem is, though, can he come back from the injuries? Can he be consistent and stay on the field? But the Dolphins, you're definitely going to see them take a stab at a bunch of wideouts this year. They need to upgrade that position because they really just don't have the players right now.
JaMarr Chase sitting in their lap.
Yes, as a Giants fan, like we need a wide receiver as well, right? And yet I would rather have Chase. I like Waddle better than I like Chase.
So
Problem would be is I don't have the tape as much. There's not as much footage on Chase because he didn't play last year. You know what I mean? You got to go back to his.
And he also had Jefferson when he had his stats. He had Jefferson to take a lot of attention, not to take anything away from Chase, but you know, I'm a big believer. If you know you got this guy over there opening up this side, you got a lot more room to play with. I'd like to see what Chase is going to be because I tell you, Justin Jefferson is terrific, and he basically was the better player at LSU. So we'll see.
Yeah, as far as Chase is concerned, he's like a really skilled Anquan Bolden. So think of what Anquan Bolden used to bring to the table, the physical nature, the way he can just move the hashes over the middle, the nuances that he has as far as getting open. Chase has that, but he also has the speed and quickness that Anquan did not have. So that's kind of scary when you think about it. I mean, 20 touchdowns as a junior. 20 touchdowns in a prolific offense with Jefferson and even Moss, who was there and had a really good tight end season for LSU. Chase checks every single box for a wide receiver. Everything you would ever want. If you're going to draw it up, there it is.
So, King, I know it's your favorite subject, the Giants, obviously. Can you explain to me their wide receivers? You go down the names. Some of them sound pretty good, but what is it like? They don't have the pieces that fit together properly. Like what's wrong there?
What's wrong there? What's wrong there is that they signed a guy like Golden Tate, who's a journeyman asshole who doesn't get anything accomplished. He just doesn't do anything. He never does anything where he goes. Just yap his mouth. You got Sterling Shepard, who's not even a number 2. He'd be like a number 3 slot at the best on any other team. And then you get Darius Slayton, the young kid who catches touchdowns. He'd be maybe a number 2, maybe on a good team. Maybe. But then again, he may not even make it. Then you got Evan Ingram, who made the Pro Bowl, but can't catch, which I can't figure out because I thought that was one of the things you had to do in order to make the Pro Bowl. Is if you're a tight end, you should be able to catch. But that's something that Evan can't do. Then the offensive line, we've only been drafting for that and working on that for the past 12 years. Can't seem to get it in straight. We draft Eric Flowers. Who the fuck in God's name drafts Eric Flowers? He could barely play guard. Never mind left tackle. So, and then we take Daniel Jones super early in the draft when everyone
What do you mean super early? He's great.
Listen, I know he is. I'm telling you this. We have to get rid of all those wide receivers. Kev, every single one and the tight end. I want Evan Ingram traded. I'm glad Golden Tate is gone. I'll keep Slayton. Please get rid of Sterling Shepard. And then draft me somebody with some goddamn speed to go up opposite Slayton because Slayton is also a 4.2 type of guy. To have 2 of those guys out there would be fantastic. That's what Golden Tate was supposed to bring was speed. Bullshit. 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 I miss Plaxico. How about that? I miss Plax. That was my favorite Giants receiver so far in my life. I miss having Plax. Plax had, again, one of those things like you can't teach. He was just 6'5" and knew how to box people out. God damn it. You know, tell you what, I also want an edge rusher. Like as a Giants fan, like we need an edge rusher. And as far as I'm concerned, it's what Rousseau. It's the 2 guys from Miami, right? Rousseau and whatever his name is.
Phillips.
And then it's the kid from Notre Dame. Not Notre Dame. The kid from Rhode Island, Quitty Payne.
Yeah.
So, right. Are they going to go super high, these ends, because it's not as deep for ends? Or is it deeper than I think it is just because there's a lot of guys out there that are more like what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of guys out there that check off a lot of boxes when you look at them or you make them run through like practice. There's a lot of guys out there because even Rousseau, 6'7", he's just a guy that's big and they're pushing him up the draft. You think You think a lot of these guys are going to go much higher than they should because there's not enough talent like after the first group?
Yeah, but I think you also have to look at match. Like you have to look at scheme match and what these teams are looking for in that position. I personally think someone like a Quitty Payne, who Michigan used inside, they used them on the outside, they used them over the center in certain circumstances. And when you have a player that you can put at different spots in the line, like Rousseau, you're not going to be putting him on the inside because he's just going to get washed.
No.
But someone like a Quitty Payne, he is the most sturdy of the edge rushers out there. He does not get moved. He eats tight ends for breakfast. You cannot move him off the spot. That's a guy that you can put on the inside who's going to stop the run. That gets teams' attention because he's not a liability against the run. I look at those guys right now, and not just because he's from Rhode Island, but Quitty Payne has the most upside of all of those guys. I mean, this guy, you can put him anywhere on that line, and he's going to be an impact player. And he's just getting better. He only played a couple of games this year because of COVID, but the improvement was immense. And the coaches rave about him. He's got all the intangibles, but it really depends on what the flavor is. Rousseau, because of the size and length, teams may pick him over Quitty because he more fits what they want.
And his speed. Rousseau is fast. Rousseau is not slow for someone that's 6'7".
No, he's not. But Quitty will probably beat him in a foot race, I can tell you that, which is absolutely frightening.
Now, see, we didn't get to see that.
So the one guy we don't really ever talk about, what is it, the guy from Penn State, Oweh, Oweh is his last name? We never really talk about him, and I see him listed as like one of the top 3.
You want to know why?
Edge guys.
You want to know why?
He's supposed to have 4.3 speed.
You want to know why, Kev?
What?
Because I can't pronounce his name. That's why I don't bring him up. I can't pronounce his name. You couldn't say it. I can't say it. I can't say that over and over again. I can't even pronounce it, so I don't even bring him up. My bad. There goes one of our inside secrets. I'm not saying that because I can't pronounce it. Brother Ray, can you pronounce it?
Yeah, it's Oweh. That's I think that's how he pronounces it. Again, here's another guy.
You cut short. You try to back your way out. You just said, "Oh yeah," and backed out of it. Kev, is that good enough?
Yeah. So I believe he pronounced it Oweh. So I guess we're gonna go with Oweh.
All right, now you can go on, Ray. I'm sorry.
He's got. I don't care what you call him. He's going to be making a lot of money. I know that. 6'5", 250. Again, another one who really has the prototypical size, and that's what a lot of these teams are looking for edge rushers. They're looking for the size, obviously the speed. Not as durable against the run, though. Again, that's where I think Quitty separates from some of these freakish long guys. Quitty's not as long and doesn't have those measurables. He's kind of choppy in his footwork. But again, what's your flavor? That's what these guys are looking at. The same thing with other positions like wide receiver and linebacker. Teams have different needs in their scheme for linebackers. So a 4-3 will for one team may be asked to do something a little bit different than another team.
Fair.
I want to. Let me just ask one question, right, Kev, about linebackers. In the draft, it's hard to figure out the linebackers because a lot of them are listed as edge rushers, some are listed as linebacker. Like the way they do it now, it doesn't make sense. Like who is considered like a linebacker? Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? And because like Micah Parsons, is he just the best linebacker? But then these other guys that are edge rushers, they're considered linebackers as well. Someone help me with that. I know that sounds stupid, but it's
all
just
about if they fit your scheming out. Like when Teddy Bruce came out, he was a DN for Arizona, and then he switched to middle linebacker. All about what they think you will be good at. It's like Brother Ray said. What can you do? What is your best strength? They're gonna find it, and they're gonna say, "Oh, you're not a true DN. What you are is you're gonna be a 3-4 outside linebacker."
They don't. That's not it. They don't have. See, that's the thing. They don't have outside linebackers. An edge rusher nowadays is the outside linebacker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In a 3-4, but in Yeah, in a 3-4. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's outside linebacker is almost a DN. If you put your hand in the dirt, can you put your hand in the dirt? Are you going to be asked, like what Brother Ray said, to stand your ground against the run? When the Patriots didn't like Chandler Jones, it's because they didn't think he could stop the run, so they moved on from him. He got better against the run, but they moved on from him because they didn't want to pay him that amount of money for a DN who could constantly be attacked.
But Kev, do you know what I mean by the naming of it now? The way the edge rusher now kind of means linebacker. Like they only show what inside linebackers when you look them up. Yeah,
I'm looking them up now. No, like it like everyone on that's listed as a linebacker is like 6'2", 6'3", 6 feet. None of these like the super long guys that we were talking about before. They're all listed as edge.
Like just JPP played outside linebacker for the Bucks. That's exactly kind of what I mean now. It's like the blending of the outside, the defensive end became like a pass rusher.
Yeah. It's what I'm always going through. It's like a 3-4 linebacker is most of the time a pass rusher, and they're like an edge. But 4-3, it's different. But most of the guys you see at the top of the linebacker list are really good run stoppers. And that's, it's really interesting to get into that discussion because a lot of teams are getting away from that. They're trying to look for those hybrid safety guys. I always forget the guy's name, like the guy on Arizona last year where they didn't know what to do with him for the first 6 games.
Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons. And they finally figured it out, and he had a monster like second half or second 2/3 of the season. So that's becoming more and more the thing. And I bet you'll see like smarter coaches, more defensive minded like coaches that are evolving the game, like a Belichick and other guys like that are looking for more players. You're not going to see a typical just big hitter who can't cover the pass anymore because teams are making a living with running backs catching passes and double tight ends who can both catch passes. You can't have a linebacker that can't cover anymore.
And that's why that Oweh kid from Notre Dame is going to go. I think he's going to go high in the draft because he's this year's Simmons. He can cover wide receivers. He can cover tight ends, running backs. He's a big hitter. He has really good instincts. But there are no more traditional linebackers, King. Like you don't have that traditional inside Mike anymore, who's just a run stopper. I mean, it's really all specialty now. I mean, you talked about the edge rushers. In a 4-3, the Will is going to cover backs and tight ends. The Sam, the other outside, is really going to be more inside, stopping the run, and more physical. So that's the way teams normally look at those guys. The Mike is obviously the inside guy, but you're really looking for that extra thing that can take something else off the board. So if you got somebody like Oweh from Notre Dame, that's a chess piece because you can use him covering running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. He's going to take away a certain area of the field.
Oh, wait, Larry. See, that's why I don't understand why the hype hasn't been bigger for Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, the people are sleeping on him. Like what he can do, he's like a train. He's an unbelievable linebacker. He really, really, really is. Like, why is he getting no love? Help me out. Someone help me out.
It's the issues with Micah Parsons is all between the ears. Seriously, that is the one big issue with him right now. Although the Penn State coaching staff recently said that he had a good work ethic and he worked hard. I think they're trying to do some damage control right now. Athletically, he's got everything you want. He's got the size. He can run. He can, he's got good instincts. When he's on and he flashes, he's really on. But there have been some times when he hasn't flashed. So I think he has some weaknesses, but he is probably the best all-around linebacker there. The other guy I really like, and no one's talking about him, is Zaven Collins. He's another guy that can run to the ball. And to me, he's got more up here than Micah.
All right, and there's one other guy in linebacker, considered linebacker, that I talked about before, and that guy's name is Chaz Surratt from North Carolina. They call him like the missile. He pretty much just blitzes on every down. That's all he does, really, but he does it really well. Like he's had the most pressures on quarterbacks in the last 2 seasons, whatever it is. He's ranked 8 as a linebacker from North Carolina. He's just a reckless, crazy blitzer. I want that on my team. You need that on your team. Like the way this kid plays, he's an animal. Like, and that's the type of kid that I want on my team. It's weird because you're right. It is flavor. What is your team like? What do you like? What kind of linebacker would suit your team? Well, I know we got Blake Martinez who's back there thinking and doing all that stuff. I want another one that just goes straight. You know what I mean? Like a maniac. So that's why I'm looking at guys like a guy like him. It is what fits your team because you get a guy like that goes on another team, he doesn't do anything. But you put him on a team with the Giants and they give him all this opportunity, and all of a sudden he's just killing it. You know what I mean?
I think you just want a guy named Chaz Surratt on the Giants.
Chaz Surratt. Hey, so all right, really quick, here's the other thing. The offensive tackles. Is there really just 2? Or is it more than that? Is it just Slater and Sewell? Is that it? Does it drop off after them? Is that what we're talking about? The offensive tackles. That's the biggest problem I've had because the last 2 years they've been all on the draft. Like they own it, but this year it's just that.
Darisaw, also the Virginia Tech guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's 6'5". He's huge. He's got he had a really really good year. So I would put him in there, but then I think there's a big drop off. Probably I would say after number 3, but I don't know. Ray's always got a couple of guys I've probably never even heard of, but I like Darisaw.
I also like Vera Tucker. I think with Jackson being a first round pick for the Dolphins last year, I would say Vera Tucker was better. Is better. So I don't think he's going to go that. I think he'll be probably top 20. Again, really mobile. Not gigantic, but he's got really good feet. And for me, a tackle, you have to have the footwork. It's really something that you can't teach. The other guy I would say is Jenkins from Oklahoma State. I mean, he's an absolute house. More of a right tackle prospect, but he's like a mauler guy. Once he gets his hands on you, it's pretty much over. 320 and really really gets into that aspect of just burying his opponent.
You know what the saddest position is on a football team? Right tackle. By far. Because you couldn't cut it at left tackle. But you're big enough, so they move you to right tackle. Right? No one wants to be a right tackle. You get moved to right tackle. You don't go, I'm going to be a right tackle. No. You want to be a left tackle, and they make you a right tackle. So whenever you hear he got moved to right tackle, I just go, poor guy. He didn't quite have it, and he's really upset. Matt?
No, I mean, the big bucks is at left tackle. You get the money there, but some, I would rather be a run, and I believe the right tackle is more the run dominant area. So I think I would rather be whacking people on every day down instead of stepping back and having my feet and my hands and protecting, it is what it is. I think that it's okay to be anybody on an NFL team. So if you're getting a little piece of the championship ring or a little bit of the pie, getting some money. But of course, the big bucks is with the left tackle.
Sad too. Kev, what do you think?
No, I think I like what everyone said. I mean, the right tackle is usually the better run blocker. So if you like firing out and doing damage, probably a good position. But you're also not going to deal with. It didn't used to always be this way, but typically the best pass rusher would be over the left tackle. But defenses have gotten smarter, and so sometimes you will have even like an Aaron Donald go all the way out on the right tackle because he could blow him up all day. So yeah, there is something to it. I think there is something to what both of you guys said.
Yeah, in Miami, let's be honest, the right tackle is more important there because that's to his blind side. When you have a lefty, that changes everything. That changes the way you look at protection because your best blocker better be on that right side now to protect to his, back.
Yeah. It's crazy. Hey, we got about 7 minutes till it's an hour time. We should probably do run through a quick top of 10 list of the draft. We'll speed through a mock. See if there's any changes from our last mock draft. I kind of know them off the top of my head. So let's go through them and see if we disagree. Anybody changes options. Here we go. Jaguars. Still Lawrence. Going to be Lawrence. It just is. 2, we're saying it's Zach Wilson. Am I right?
Yep.
All right. Number 3.
JaMarr Chase.
Who's number 4? I'm having it for me.
It's Atlanta, right?
Falcons.
Falcons. Who do we have last time?
I think we had Pitts.
Pitts.
I don't think it's going to be Pitts.
Who do you think is going to be?
I think they either trade out of this for somebody, but I would see them taking a QB here. But I don't think it's going to be Pitts. I just don't think it's going to be Pitts.
I kind of do. And then after Pitts, it's what? Sewell?
Absolutely. Yep, Sewell. Yep.
Sewell. Lock.
Sewell at
Yeah,
5.
Cincinnati. 6 is Philly.
Waddle.
This
Right.
is where Pitts goes for me.
This is where they're going to go get there next to Sean Jackson, but better, hopefully. And Waddle.
To me, this is Pitts.
Okay, so if Pitts doesn't go there, he'll go here. 7 will be Devonta Smith.
Yeah, it's Detroit.
Or Waddle. Smith or
8,
Waddle.
8 Fields.
Yeah, Carolina.
Yeah.
9 is
Trey Lance.
we got 9 and 10 are going to be Farley and then Surtain, right? Going to that order.
Yeah, I think.
Finally make the move. And then it's Farley.
So you think it'll be Surtain and then Farley?
I think it's Trevor Lance and then
See, I've seen the same thing there, and like, I'm all over the. It's the only one I want to talk about. M1 is this one because like Denver, they have so many weapons next year on offense. Do you like? I don't like Drew Lock. I don't like, but some people are saying give him one more chance with all the weapons in place. Like, they didn't have Sutton all season. But they had Tim Patrick step up. Like, do you give Lock one more chance with the weapons, or do you draft Trey Lance like you're saying?
I would personally give Locke one more chance, but like I think I said a few weeks back, with the change with Oweh stepping back, how much power is really in that new GM, whoever, if there is truly a GM and Oweh doesn't have his hands in there, do they now move on and start to go in a different direction? Do they like with what they've seen with Drew Lock, even though all the other pieces aren't moving with him? Is he making the right reads? Is he doing the right things that they're asking him to do? I don't know those things, but I could see them absolutely, with the change of the guard, go with Trey Lance here.
And after his workout, guys, his recent workout, Trey Lance, he is now going to be a top 10 pick.
Yep.
There's no doubt whatsoever. He is a top 10 pick. So it may not be them, Denver, but it's going to be somebody trading up or someone taking him in that top 10.
And then it'll end up with my New York Football Giants at 11. And if all the receivers are gone, it's going to be Rousseau.
Mike, this would be perfect for Quitty Payne.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But that's not who we're looking at.
I think Judge would take Quitty Payne. He's more of a Judge player, I think, than Rousseau.
No, it's going to be Rousseau. I'm telling you. All signs have pointed to this kid before I even knew who he was with the Giants. Like that, they've been on. Giants are always like this, man. Every year they're on somebody and they stay on them. And if you're a Giants fan, you hear his name come up like several times, and you go, "Yeah." Because like me and Coach Kyle, we knew early on that the Giants were going to take what's his name, Daniel Jones. Like before the draft, I knew they were going to take Daniel Jones. Like I knew that was our guy. Some people going, "Who? Who's Daniel Jones? Where's he even play?" I mean, don't worry about it. So like, yeah, they're just they're not good at hiding their hand. The Maras and so it's going to be Rousseau. I would love it to be Quitty Payne either way. Quitty Payne I would probably prefer, but you're going to look at the two guys we got on our line. We got Leonard Williams. We got Dexter Lawrence, is over 300 pounds. Quitty Payne would be great with those two, but they want Rousseau to come off the edge. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at a guy that's going to come off the edge and not be one of those three, basically. I just broke that down to myself. I just explained my own self to myself. Hey, so guys, legitfantasysports.com. The website is doing phenomenal. We've had over 1,000 views in the last 30 days, which is the last month. We're killing it on Instagram. That's stupid ridiculous. We reached we're over 5,200. YouTube is now hit over 500 and it's at 540 subscribers.
Awesome.
I actually got an email from YouTube after the first 100, and they congratulated me. And there's like a bunch of confetti that flies all over my phone. And then it's so great. It's so great. And then and then I get it's look at it. All right, wait. You see the confetti?
Oh my God.
So anyways, thank you everybody that is watching. Tonight we have Legit Paranormal on at 7:00. Am I right when I say that it's 7:00, Ev?
Yes.
I always forget the time for some reason. And
Ghost.
I gotta go to this because on the show we have tonight. Buddy's bringing him down. This is a bit very this guy runs like the Comic-Con version for paranormal. I can't find his name. Help me, Kev. Can you find the guy's name from tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. Hold on a second. I want to make sure I get it right. Hold on.
I'm like the worst when it comes to like just.
I have like 2 Facebook friends, so it shouldn't be as hard as it is.
Right. I got.
You'd have 3 if you'd had me, Kevin, but you just hate me.
We were excited founder, director of Rise Up Paranormal, co-host of Paranormal Channel's Dead Air, president of O-State Paracon, alien human hybrid, all-around good person, Ken DaCosta. Ken DaCosta will be with us tonight. It says here that we're allowed to talk from ghost all the way to alien to Bigfoot and to Chupacabra. I can't wait to get it on. If we get to talk about everything, bring it on, baby. Woo-hoo-hoo.
This might be Mastronomus territory if we start hitting Bigfoot and Chupacabra. I'm not sure if I'm equipped for that stuff.
I'm gonna tell you something. If they ever do a greatest hits of everything we've done so far, on that list has to be Matt out of nowhere going, you believe in lizard people?
Yeah.
We're talking about something completely different. Like serious. We're really in a conversation. And this dude, he's coming in and out, man. He's just happy with life. He's like,
yeah.
Do you believe in it? And if you see my face, when he does it, I just go,
he's ready to explode.
So King, because that was a 2-part series, right? So the first part Matt was on, and I'm like, you know what? Since I'm doing the second part, I got to do my research. I got to watch the show, and I watch it, and that question comes out, and I'm like, did I black out? Like, how do we switch gears to the lizard people? So I did it again, and I'm like, what just happened? That's when I started texting you. I said, where did that interview go? That was phenomenal.
It really was. Yeah, lizard people.
I was like,
all right, hey, you guys got anything to say before we wrap it up?
Yes, look into Jimmy Corrigan of the Smashing Pumpkins. On a few different interviews, he talks about his interactions with shapeshifters. Well, a shapeshifter. He said it on Howard Stern, and then he reintroduced it a few times. And he's like, listen, I don't want people to think I'm crazy, but this is what happened. And I don't really know how far my rabbit hole ends, but I will say on the hieroglyphics, there was alligator people walking. And I do believe there could be potentially lizard people. I would not rule that out in this weird-ass world that we live in. Watch out for lizard people.
Yeah.
Kev?
If you hear about them, tell me because I'm going.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm not helping.
All right, Kate. I'm going to take us back to the realm of reality here, out of the paranormal realm into the normal realm. So yesterday was 4-1 on college basketball. Today, there's not a ton that I like. I did bet Cincinnati plus 13.5. I did bet the over on Illinois, the Illinois Ohio State championship game. But I'm not high on any of them. So if you want to buy a sweat, those are the two I would go with. But then we get ready for Selection Sunday.
Right? You can bet all you want. It doesn't mean there's not lizard people outside.
I have the over on lizard people. I've had that bet down for years and won.
Thank you.
Right.
We all know that lizard people are real because if you used to watch the Land of the Lost series and you're old as me, they were called slee stacks. And the head slee stack used to wear that big thing and they protect all those jewels in the cave. Mm-hmm. So I watched Land of the Lost, so they're slee stacks. Let's call them by their right name.
Absolutely.
But hey, this is a great time for sports right now. Selection Sunday, NCAA tournament, NFL free agency. You got the NBA back. What else do you need?
It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it is a great time for sports. See, my favorite was the Banana Splits. That was my one TV show when they would came running out. That was the one that hooked me because they had all those cartoons in between. Davey and Goliath. Not Davey and Goliath. What was it? Ray, help me out. The guy that had the adventures.
Johnny Quest?
Yeah, Johnny Quest. There you go. All right. So we're old. For me, this is legit fantasy football from legitfantasysports.com. Tonight, 7 o'clock, tune in for Legit Paranormal. This is me. This is Mike Lepre. Thank you for watching. We will see you on Thursday.